Part of my growth in this industry and the growth in my confidence for what I do is having this unrelenting need to know how it works. And believe it or not, I would say 80% of the seminars I've taken that are guru seminars, when I ask questions like, how does this work? Honestly, most of the answers are, I don't know, it just works. Okay, and people laugh at that and the rest of the class just goes about, and I'm like, if I'm going to go home and sell this premium service to a client, are they going to accept, it just works? I wouldn't. I look at myself as a consummate consumer and I question everything. So if I'm going to spend a lot of money, I need to know how this shit works, right? So that was relentless within me to get to a point where I can confidently tell the science. Yes, I tell stories and visuals and bubbles and all these stories to clients, but I know the science if they want a detailed answer. So I started looking, again, I reverse engineered everything, had to break down the nervous system, broke it down to when you touch what happens, when the energy gets stored, what happens. So the science became a driving force for me to validate myself in a sense, because I was always very insecure in my early years. And I felt if I had this real science background to talk about, then people would accept me, right? But I quickly learned that most clients, they don't really give a crap how much I know or who I know. They just heard I was really good at what I do and just shut up and fix me. So when I really tried to dive down into the depths of neuroscience, I really couldn't find anything. There's really no research on what I do. There's a lot of bits and pieces out there, like neuromuscular therapy is kind of the basis of the science I use. And neuromuscular theory focuses on several key components in pain relief: nerve entrapment, nerve compression, ischemia. Ischemia is a lack of blood in muscle. Nerve entrapment is muscle squeezing nerve. Nerve compression is bone squeezing or pinching a nerve. And the two most prevalent things in the chronic pain world is ischemia, which is a lack of blood in muscle. Any ischemic muscle is going to be tender to the touch and it's going to be inhibited. And inhibition means that your brain can only use a muscle to the extent that it has blood within the muscle. So the science of ischemia, I'm a visual guy. I tell clients a muscle is just like a sponge. If you're cleaning out under your sink and you find this old shriveled up sponge, it's short, the edges are curled up, it's dirty, you just throw it out. However, if you take that sponge and you put it on the spigot and it fills up with water, the edges uncurl and now you can use the sponge again. That's how a muscle works. When the muscle spasms, it'll squeeze and squeeze out a lot of the blood. The problem is, over time and different compensatory mechanisms, those muscles stay like squeezed sponges from head to toe. We're riddled with these areas where we have these little tight sponges throughout our muscular system. That is ischemia. That means your brain can't use, if let's say a muscle's in spasm, it's squeezing out 50% of the blood, your brain's only going to use that muscle at 50% its capacity. Yet it's designed to work at 100%, so that 50% has to be absorbed by other muscles. Compensation again. So the compensation pattern is rampant everywhere, micro little things. But the science of it is, when people say, well, what are you actually doing when you poke? When I poke, it creates a neural response. It's neural feedback. That I press with just enough pressure to get the brain to trust me, and then it will dilate the blood vessels in that muscle. That's the simplest explanation. But people then say, well, that sounds too simple to be true. There's so much minutia around it, but the essence of it is really filling up the muscle with blood again. If the muscle's full of blood, your brain's going to use that muscle optimally.